Welcome to the Coached Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren. Settle in. We're about to make you feel really good. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coached, the podcast hosted by me, Coach Keren. This season is called Coaching Masters, and it's all about integrity and excellence in teaching. We're exploring true mastery, what we teach, how we teach, and most importantly of all, why we teach. You are going to be introduced to some of the best and brightest teachers in all the world. And today, I am honored to be joined by one of them, a woman who brings spiritual law into practical power, my friend, Danielle Amos, aka the Mystic Millionaire. A mindset mentor, a top teacher of Bob Proctor's legacy, and the host of the Mystic Millionaire podcast, on which I was honored to be a guest earlier this year. Boy, am I glad we met. Danielle is a soul sister whose work helps align people with divine law, step into an overflow of abundance, and live in the full expression of their calling. Danielle's teachings are not only about wealth, they're about resonance with the truth, with source, and with the life that you were meant to lead. As the Emerald Tablet says, as above, so below, as within, so without. This idea of inner alignment becoming outer reality, this is the cornerstone of your work. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Keren. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It is such an honor to have you, buddy. I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to talk to you about teaching, about how we became teachers, about how you developed as a teacher, and about what has brought you here, and also along the way, about an authentic code that you cracked just in the last year that I'm really interested to dive into.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to acknowledge the word teacher. It resonates so deeply with me above all else, above like coach or mentor.
Yes.
I love teaching.
I think all of us are very good students and very good teachers, which actually is a perfect segue into your origin story. I loved taking a deep dive after meeting you into who you are and how you became a teacher. And I love that your epiphany was around a panic attack at an exam, the exact opposite of what students would usually experience. Can you take us back to the origin?
Yeah. So I was about 18 years old in university at Queen's in Canada, a very prestigious school that I worked very hard to get into. And it was a physics exam, second year. And that exam represented 100% of my mark.
Wow.
And I had studied and, but had been struggling for my first couple of years. And that was really not normal for me. I was, in the past, a very good student. Things came easily. When I got to Queen's, everyone was smart. And so I was no longer at the top. I was no longer the smartest. I was an average student there. And that had an impact on my identity.
Yeah.
And in that exam, I started hyperventilating and I couldn't see. Like I basically blacked out at the desk. And I had no idea what was happening. I had never had a panic attack before. And I excused myself, and I get shivers thinking back because the teacher that was overseeing the exam said, if you leave, you fail. And I had no choice. Like I stumbled out of there and went to the health unit, and they gave me a note, and I went and saw my professor who asked me if she could put me in a trance. And I had no idea about meditation at the time.
Yeah.
And she guided me to breathe. And in that state, she relaxed me and she said, I'm going to give you a verbal exam. I believe that you know that the information is already there. You've been in class. And on that exam, I got over 95%. And it was, I shocked myself that the information was there. And from there, she asked me if I would be open to learning more about meditation. And she encouraged me to go see the Buddhist professor. And that opened my mind. That was the beginning of, I would say high school, watching the Doors movie, which I think we'll talk about. But that opened everything for me. I started meditating. I started studying Buddhism. And I decided from that point that I wanted to travel to India to meet the Dalai Lama, which I did when I graduated.
So this is really just a moment of you opening up to you and basically starting to indulge a curiosity that had already been there, which brings me to high school.
Yeah.
Sadly, I too watched the Doors movie in high school, which means everybody knows how old we are now.
Yes, yeah, they do.
Val Kilmer was not only still alive, he was still hot too.
He was hot, yeah.
There was a mystical scene in the Doors movie that already awakened you, right?
Yeah.
And that you related to. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so if you remember that scene when the shaman is in the dunes of the desert and he's singing.
Yeah.
And Jim Morrison had just taken peyote.
Yeah.
And that scene.
That scene was spoofed in Wayne's World too, by the way.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
I don't
By
know.
Canadians.
Okay, of course. So that scene, when I heard the shaman singing, I had an instant resonance, like a remembrance. I knew I had been that shaman.
Wow.
And I didn't know what it meant at the time. It was like I could sing the words that he sings. Like even now I can hear the humming. And I watched that scene over and over. It moved me. It brought me to tears. It felt like home.
That's incredible. And so over the next years, you not only visit the Dalai Lama, you literally start to essentially construct your own methodology. How did that evolve? And please throw in the Bob Proctor story because I got to hear it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I wasn't aware. I was just following.
Sure.
I was just following what lit me up. You know,
I love that's going to reaffirm so many teachers out there who genuinely don't know, but when you're in the soup, you are becoming.
Yeah. Yeah. And following your passion, like when it doesn't make sense. So I was now 21, graduated from school. I was supposed to go into med school. I was in pre-med, and I decided to go to India instead. My parents loved that.
I'm sure.
And I traveled for 6 months and took meditation courses and taught English to Tibetans and sat in the Dalai Lama's temples and like where he lives and listened to him in Tibetan. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just followed like literally what I wanted to do for those 6 months. And it was pure bliss. It was amazing.
That's amazing. And then?
And then I came back home. Eventually, I came back home and continued to travel for a few years, lived in Japan, came back home and did what I was told to do, which was to get a job.
Yeah.
And I ended up working in the hospitality industry and built a really good career in food tourism, actually, for the next like 15 years. And I forgot. I put all my books away. All the meditation. Instead, I turned to alcohol. Yeah.
The repression must have been so painful.
Yeah, I just got caught up in life, like in the world of hospitality and doing what I thought or what I was told. And I think that really had an impact and I didn't really know what to do. So I drank with everyone else at the end of my shift. And 15 years later, I was introduced to network marketing. I was in my career. Everything looked amazing from the outside. Everyone thought that I was super confident, had a great job, career. My daughter was then 1, and I hated life. I knew I wasn't supposed to work for someone else. Introduced to network marketing, and I said yes to that because it felt like a gateway to be an entrepreneur.
Of course.
Thank goodness I did, because within that first few months, the same books that I had been reading at 21 were now reintroduced to me. Think and Grow Rich, and I'm like, I read all these, and I'm getting shivers, like, and it was an invitation to return to my calling. And so I studied those books, was not good at network marketing.
Yeah. No one is.
Yeah, and
That's the point of network marketing.
Yeah, true. It's really personal development, like.
Of course.
Yeah. And so then, I quit my job because I thought that by working harder, I would succeed in network marketing. And I didn't, and I got myself in a whole lot of debt. My mother dragged me to a seminar. This old man's reading from Think and Grow Rich, and I sat at the back of the room like this, going, I know this. And it was Bob Proctor on stage. And he said one thing. He said, your results don't lie. if you're not getting the results that you like,
Yes.
then there's something missing in your
Absolutely.
understanding. And he said, my way's working, yours isn't. Why not try mine?
Exactly.
And I jumped into his program. And within 6 months, I tripled my income. And life became easy because I all of a sudden understood the laws
Yes.
and self-image and what was going on inside my mind and how that impacted my results. I had no idea before that.
Talk about being exposed finally to the teaching when you are truly ready. You know, Danielle Laporte was just on, and I encourage everybody to listen to that episode as well, because it was really, really heartwarming to hear another person speak out against charlatanism and also to absolve us of charlatanism. Like many of us, you too were first exposed to a false god. The promise of freedom, because once we have the calling to freedom, we're just basically going to look for somebody who's going to give us a path to freedom. And unfortunately, that void can be filled by fake gurus and also by MLMs or marketing scheme known as the marketing networking business.
Yeah.
The work then brings you back to the fundamental books and then to the fundamental truth. I used those exact same words on a podcast that I did this year called Expanded by To Be Magnetic. And I didn't even know that Bob Proctor once uttered those words, because that's exactly it. If your results do not feel good to you, if they are not the right results, then with due respect, something is way off.
Yeah.
And that's the moment, right? The moment where you just have to stop with the bullshit and start going, all right, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to go all in.
Yeah.
It's such a profound moment. And this is when the teacher is born. First, you essentially go under Bob Proctor's wing. That's an incredible gust of wind. How did that then alchemize into the method?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to your point, I'm a very good student. I'm very coachable.
Yeah.
And I followed exactly what he said, like he said to do. And that took years. Like it took a long time. And I still don't, I wouldn't say that I understand everything that he did. He studied the mind for 60 years. And there's something incredible about mentorship where we can, gain that wisdom and he can pass the torch. And then I bring my own, obviously, knowledge and wisdom into it. I respect Bob and all my teachers profoundly. And with Bob, I followed him. I studied him. I studied the way, not his actions, but more importantly, the way he thought.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with him personally, being coached. And I listened.
Yeah.
I listened for how he interacted with other people,
Yeah.
what he said when he wasn't saying much. And those were the things that I took very seriously and then brought them into my own teaching. So it took a long time. It took many hours of study, and then from there, I realized that with respect, that there were pieces that Bob perhaps didn't focus on that felt like my calling. For example, self-image and identity work. Bob taught it, and I wanted to go deeper.
Yes.
So I would ask him questions, and he'd be like, wow, maybe that's like an area that we don't need to focus on so much.
That's
I'm
right.
like, and I do. So I read more books and then started applying it to my own life and then with clients and then got results. And then from there, my methodology developed. And it was applied knowledge for me and then teaching it to others so that they could apply it. And then that's how I learned. It was really a feedback system.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love this so much because there are two things that are very palpable and tangible takeaways for every teacher who is listening. The first is, I tell my clients all the time, the best thing I can do for you is just let you watch my life. I am living proof of what this is. And by the way, I say that in humility because I show them all the bad stuff too.
Yeah, same.
Living proof of what this is. And this is essentially the best way to learn. The best way to learn is to watch how I think, because you will literally see it. The second thing that I love that you said that was super tangible, I think, to people is many teachers balk at being around great teachers because they think of them as some holy high kahuna. But the truth is, we always take the work forward. No one can actually alchemize with the work quite like you, because your voice is in and of itself distinctive and your preferences are distinctive. So what you did was you actually took the work forward and in a completely new direction. And that brings me to actually the focus on not self-identity, but abundance, the focus on money. How did that emerge? Was that core wound stuff? Was that personal interest stuff? Where does that come from?
A little bit of both. So the first conversation I ever had with Bob Proctor was on the phone. He called me after I decided to become a consultant. So I was a client of his work, tripled my income, and then decided to invest and become a coach or consultant. And he said, "What's the most you've ever earned?" That was one of his first questions he'd ask. And I said, "Oh, about 100,000 with network marketing in my career." And he said, "Great, that's going to become your monthly income." And I remember I was drinking water. I was like, "What did you just say?" Like thinking, do you know me? Like, that's not possible. I thought 100,000 a month. And he planted that seed. And I let it go. It was one moment that he said it, but it was enough to be like, is that possible? And he said, if you can earn 100,000 in a year, you can earn 100,000 in a month. If you can earn 100,000 a month, you can earn 100,000 in a day. Time's not real. It's an energy. And so that opened up a curiosity for me. And then money for me has been always very interesting. It's been actually quite easy for me to earn. However, when I was making the decision to become an entrepreneur, I quit my job. And that I found myself in a lot of debt. And that was the first time where
not so
it was
easy to keep.
Right.
Yeah.
And my family, I saw my dad work hard for money. So of course I was working hard for money. And he, had 4 jobs when we were growing up. And so I had 4 jobs and I was hustling. And although it came, it never seemed to be enough. Like it was paycheck to paycheck. And so I really wanted to change that. I saw, when I was a little girl, saw friends who their families were going to Disneyland. And I was told that wasn't for us. And I'd never wanted to give my daughter that same answer.
No,
Instead,
Eloise deserves to go to Disney World.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that became a desire to change that. And I remember thinking, I was in grade 8, about 13 years old, and I asked my guidance counselor, what do I do? Like, what do I need to do to have a job that pays money, the good money? Because I didn't, with all respect with my parents, I didn't want to work in a factory like they did.
That's right.
And so they showed me the path to go to university at the time, is what I was told, get that good job. I had a desire for change.
I love
a deep
it.
desire.
I think it's a connection to autonomy. It's a connection to independence, at least initially. And then after a while, it's really just about a reverence for life.
Yeah. And because you can. So when I learned that we can be, do, and have anything, and that we're co-creating life, and abundance is our natural state, prosperity is our natural state, just like health.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's true, which it is, then why not?
Why not?
Attract all the money? And if I don't want it for myself, then let's give it away.
I know.
Like, let's just be this funnel.
And to anybody who thinks that it's very annoying that we're making it sound so easy, I hope you are triggered, because it is. And it's my enormous hope to continue to spread this gospel too.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I love your podcast so much, your generosity so much. But yes, everybody should know this. If you can think about it, this can actually work out for you.
Yeah.
Maybe not today, but someday.
Yeah. And it's not a matter of if, it's just when.
You're bringing me to a question I'd like to ask that's just a little bit more semantic or technical.
Sure.
Which is, what you talk a lot about abundance as a mirror. So what do you think is blocking most people when it comes to abundance?
Well, if we can bring abundance to money, because abundance is in all forms.
Sure.
Love.
Health.
Yeah. But let's talk about the money aspect. What's blocking people with their abundance about money is usually the feelings of shame or guilt around money because of the programming that we received.
Yes.
We're programmed to believe money's the root of all evil, doesn't grow on trees, blah, 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 blah. And what's interesting is what's actually natural to us, and this is true not only for money, but many things out there in society, is put right out in front of us and then told that it's bad. It's not for us. And that's not true.
That's right.
And so it's the shame and the guilt around money. It literally kinks your money hose. And so for anyone listening, I encourage you to look and feel into any areas of your life where you do feel guilty.
That's right.
Around money. And or shame. And it might be like you
or
owe
worry
someone or worry,
icky
right?
or
Yeah. And so those feelings money can't come.
No.
It comes where it's needed, it's desired, and stays where it's appreciated. And
just like any lover.
Totally. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Treat it like a lover.
One of my favorite teachers, Jen Sincero, she wrote the You Are a Badass books. And one of her exercises that I tell you seriously changed my life was write a letter to money and tell it like how you really feel about it. And I remember writing, listen, I love you, but I hate that you go away all the time. And when I read the letter, I thought, this is the most abusive relationship of all time. No wonder it doesn't want to hang out with me. That is such an important thing for people to start seeing. Your abundance is a mirror of how you feel about yourself, self-identity. And if there are shame issues, guilt issues, it ain't coming.
Yeah, it just responds literally to
That's
how
right.
you're feeling.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we got to feel good.
That's right.
What do you think your place is in the coaching ecosystem? Where does your work fit in with the universe of the teachings, do you think? Because you do use the term Mystic Millionaire.
Yeah.
So I must ask.
Yeah. Well, I love, as we know, speaking about money because I really do believe it is everyone's birthright. And I was asked this yesterday, just because someone has a desire for money or millions, do I believe that it's for them? Or maybe it's not because of their karmic path. And I do believe it is. Maybe they have to burn through some karma, but I do believe that if it's your desire, it's for you. So where my coaching fits in is definitely to talk about money.
Yeah.
Because the evolution of what it means to be human I believe, is for us to become one with what we actually are.
Yes.
Our truth of who we are. And part of that is realizing that we can be, do, and have anything. And that includes money. So let's stop believing it's shameful to talk about, and let's get it out there in the open.
Amen.
And so that's a big part. And then I would say universal laws. I love speaking about the laws, and I believe that I speak about them in a way that is easier to apply.
That's right.
To your life so that you can be walking in harmony with them.
Yes.
And that's a big part of my teaching. And I believe that I can complement other coaches that are doing somatic work and healing trauma work and doing that inner subconscious stuff. And then I can give an understanding that once that's cleared, and as you're clearing that, let's walk then with truth about who you are.
Danielle Laporte was here just before, as you know, and I said to her that one of my principles that I love is the Kabbalistic idea of tikkun, or the correction of the soul. And she said, I'd like to refine that and say the soul is not correcting you, the soul is correcting you. And you are saying the same thing, which absolutely resonates with me. It's very Gary Zukov, of course, which is just line up with who you truly are. If you have to burn through some karma to get there, do it. And that's actually what all the work is about.
And lean into it.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the path. There's nothing wrong here. So
No.
the circumstances that you're attracting are absolutely what's necessary for you to actualize,
Yeah.
to become that next level and ultimately return home to truth.
I want to talk about something that's a little bit of a departure, but that will help so many teachers out there. When you become a teacher, in particular, and become rather well known for what you do, which has been my great misfortune, people do tend to put you on a pedestal sometimes and hold you to a high standard. And sometimes our ego identity wraps around that and unfortunately responds, which makes it a little harder to be honest, vulnerable, and perfectly transparent. Which
Agreed.
brings me to the divorce.
Yes.
You have been so open and so brave, not only with me when we met, but on your new reinvented, relaunched podcast about going through it, but also about having to really contend with this. How do I talk to people about this? Because your self-identity, your new identity, might actually be compromised in so doing. How did you cross this chasm and be able to openly talk to people about
Yeah.
Basically, what you first saw was saw as, of course it's not, but first saw as a personal failure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. It's been really something that I've struggled with personally, to speak in a way that's full of integrity,
Yeah.
and to take responsibility for my part, of the breakdown of the marriage. Ultimately, I could not continue to walk through life coaching people and telling them that they could have it all when I was settling in my marriage.
Wow, that's so powerful.
I was a fraud. Like I knew it, but I was covering it up. See, like, and this is, I think, goes back to a lot of programming where on the outside, I was conditioned to believe that it was more important to make everything look a certain way.
Sure.
And so there was an impact to my marriage. Like, I cleaned up a lot of messes, and no one knew what was actually going on behind closed doors. And there was no way anyone was going to know.
Yeah.
My family had a slight idea, but not really. And I was in Mexico at a retreat, and I was called out. I was speaking about my relationship, and it was clear that I didn't have one. Like, we were not connected. And I had already probably mentally left years before. And we were in a circle, and I was like, it was like a mirror was in front of me, and it was like myself speaking to myself saying, this is not having it all. You're staying in this relationship, and it does not look anything like what you say you want. And for a long time, granted, I was healing within the relationship, and I knew consciously that if I didn't do my own work inside of it, and just leave the relationship, that I would go out and attract the same scenario, different face.
Exactly.
So I was consciously doing it in there, but that had come to a completion. I knew that, and I continued to stay. So it was this moment where it was like, can I swear? Like, holy fuck! Like,
of course.
I got to get out.
Do or do not do. There is no try, as Yoda said.
I'm out.
I'm out. Mm-hmm. And I love that you said that with the Canadian accent. I also want to say that's very gilded. You know, my book is all about the appearance of success versus real success. And again, we have to call bullshit on ourselves even when our results look good but are not really good. And that is actually the work. Yep. I love that you say that because, you know, Danielle, one of the things that I love to say is, because I'm obviously on an ego trip of how awesome I am, is I could handle it. Yeah. If Ryan, God forbid, should slip on a banana peel and fall onto, I don't know, an affair, I would be super cool, and I would tell everybody how cool I am. But I don't think I would be.
No.
I think all of us, unfortunately, are in the clutches of identity, wrapping itself yet again around another pedestal. And until we are willing to go through that fire ourselves, we have nothing to teach. We don't have a leg to stand on.
Yep.
That was a breathtaking, wonderful moment. That was, to me, the moment where I was like, this is a good teacher.
Yeah.
This is a good teacher.
It's so interesting because for a long time, I wasn't honest with myself because the success was in other areas. My business,
sure,
the money, great distractions.
Yeah.
Right?
I look good, so there's nothing to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was such an amazing relief.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It is.
With myself first. But whoa, the mind can be a trickster. Like,
listen, the shadow, as we've been talking about this entire series, it doesn't really go away. I like to say that the ego is Satan or Satan. In Hebrew, it means the opponent. And he's union. Yep. He's never going to quit, and you can't fire him.
That's right.
So we just have to learn how to live with him.
Sneaky.
But, you know, right now he seems to be pretty cool with you. You've gotten a figured out situation going on, and it seems to me that you're on fire. The podcast is relaunched. I want to ask you, what of your work are you most excited about?
I'm excited about empowering more women, for the most part, it's women in our community, to claim their next level and to be making the impact that they're here to make. And the women that we're attracting into our community at the moment are already leaders, and they're on a mission and purpose. And it feels like I'm walking arm to arm with women on purpose. And that's both colleagues like yourself and friends, as well as clients. And we're just like charging and going forward for this new earth and this exciting time, 2025. It's like, come on, bring it.
I know.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be one of the leaders in that.
It's an exciting moment for sure. For those who want to be charged up like you, what would you like them to invite themselves to sample of your work? And we'll link all of it below.
Okay, amazing. Well, I talk a lot about the identity upgrades, and there's a self-image journal. That's a great step. It's a journal that they can do over the course of a month, and it takes them through some very practical exercises for them to upgrade their self-image. And then shoot me a DM, because I love to have conversations with people and get really interested in where they're at this stage in their life.
And you're inviting people to such cool things on Instagram. Truly, you have to check this out. So we're definitely going to link this.
Thank you.
Danielle, thank you for having such a powerful and wonderful conversation with me. Thanks for coming down to Austin.
You're amazing.
May your life continue to be blessed with ease. And to the listener out there, I hope your life continues to be blessed with ease and is blessed with an overflow of abundance. Thank you so much for listening. As always, if you love today's episode, please subscribe and review, which is a tacky ass and annoying thing that I have to drop in, but it really does make a tremendous difference and allows us to give you the absolute best teachers in the world and the best content in the teaching world. For more on our offerings, please go to www.kereneldad.com, and we hope to see you in the next episode of Coaching Masters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.